Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched some lizards have sex.
That's the clip right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right
I've
there.
watched some
You gotta
lizards
start
have
with that.
sex.
Delta, Foxtrot, Delta, 2-1. Delta, Foxtrot, Delta, 2-1.
In a world where truth lies between shadows and light, where anchors hold you down and eagles dare to rise above, we dive into the untold stories that shape us all. Sit tight, listen close. This is Anchors and Eagles with your hosts, Adam Facenda and Jeronimo Gomez. The views and discussions in this podcast are for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, last night was brutal. I had to leave my windows open, so I heard everything in my neighborhood. And I live next to Wilton Manors. Do you know what Wilton Manors is?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I do. But
If you're listening to this, if we decided to record this part of the podcast, Wilton Manors is a predominantly gay neighborhood. And turns out my neighborhood is right next to it, and it parties all night long. So if there wasn't a car racing by, there was someone screaming or cackling or doing something weird outside my windows, which in turn woke my dogs up to wake me up. And this went on. I mean, I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. What time did you guys go to bed?
Jolie goes to bed early.
I went to bed pretty early. However, we had a similar, I don't know what was going on last night. It was a full moon or something. There were some girls falling and all over each other in the hallway at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It woke me up.
Yeah, they're
Party
pretty loud in the
time.
hall. Yeah, it's just people just walk and they'll be just talking at full volume or even just you know, like higher than regular volume and just like nobody sleeping, you know, like nobody cares about anybody else.
Nobody
It's just-
cares.
It's hard.
It's
But yeah,
a mad
Jelly
world.
goes to sleep pretty early. I go to sleep really late. I go to sleep around. I think every night I probably try to turn on about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
which is-
Jolie's definitely the responsible one in this relationship. I know.
I've always done that.
Really?
I've always
Yeah.
pretty much That's my me time. It's when I can like actually
Oh, that's your me time?
make stuff and you know everyone's sleeping. It feels good to get creative around that time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So while she's being responsible for
Not
just creating all night, right? Not going down any wormholes.
Yeah. Well, it's always
Not wormholes. Rabbit
I'm
holes.
always
I always say that.
looking stuff up while I'm working, and that's time of exploration.
True. I'm sure that came
Yeah.
from all the creating you used to do as well, just for all the characters and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's when I can work. I can work, and it's just quiet. It's weird. I don't. My parents are the same way. My dad was a painter, like a fine artist, and my whole family just stays up late. I know my sister kind of, she does the same thing. My dad, we used to be up late painting, and it's just it's just the way my family is. I guess it's what I turned out to be.
My dad was a blue collar worker, but he also was a phenomenal artist at one time in his life, but he gave it up to raise children. But he told me right when he turned about 50, which is where I'm at, he just had this clock that he would wake up at 5 a.m. If he went to bed at 2, he'd wake up at 5 a.m. Went to bed at 8, he'd wake up at 5 a.m. And he was just stuck like that. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. But right now I wake up at 6:19 almost every morning.
We were just talking
Every
about
morning.
Yeah.
And
That's me.
I have nothing to do. You wake up at 6:19 in the morning?
It's like anywhere between 6:15, 6:30, somewhere around there every single morning. Doesn't matter. And now, of course, with the time change, it's 5 something.
Yeah. Yeah, the time change kind of screwed me up too. I woke up and I'm like, man, like I felt like I went to bed really late that night too, like midnight or something like that. It felt really late for me. And then I woke up at like the 6:20 something or 6:19. And I'm like, oh man, I can't go to sleep. What's going on? And I'm like, I'm going to be terrible today. Today's going to suck. I'm just going to be dragging butt all day. And come 8 o'clock, I was like, or 9 o'clock, I was like, man, I feel great for barely sleeping last night. And then when I saw my clock in my car, seeing that didn't change, I knew right then I was just fooling myself. I actually got an extra hour of sleep. So.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, they'll hear this before the next two podcasts. Edwin was awesome to have on. That one went really, really late. So we're going to try to cut these back a little bit to no more than an hour, even if they run over time. We're really excited. I'm really excited to have the one with Edwin. It's I'm starting to edit it now. And it was really good to revisit it, to be honest with you, especially like a week later, because I think sometimes when I'm editing these, it's too fresh, so I get really tired from it.
Yeah.
So and then last night we had the infamous Blair Hess, and that was a really good one. We're definitely gonna have him back. He was awesome. And then we talked a little bit afterwards, and he's like, "Man, I got so much more to talk about." I'm like, "Well, this went well, so we'll do it again for sure." It was great having him on.
Yeah. There's a lot of info in both those interviews.
Yeah.
Like, how long was the Edwin one? I think it was like we ran for like 4 hours or something.
Yeah, no. Well, it's because we kept talking afterwards is what happened.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours and 31 minutes or something of recording time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of good info though. There's a lot of
stuff in there.
A lot of interesting topics going on in there.
And I love that both of these, also for the listeners, so they know what they're getting, what they'll be in store for. Both start off really calm, really cool, catching up, and then the second half we get really deep into a lot of stuff, and it's happened twice now. So I don't know if we're gonna have to have these podcasts where we're only interviewing them for about an hour and then having to come back for another hour to get into things. But I thought that was pretty interesting that both times it happened, and I just wanted to record everything possible.
Yeah. It's cool to see that, how the topics can change. So, like they're into the same stuff. It always always evolves into this kind of weird, kind of woo-woo kind of stuff.
Yeah, people constantly are asking me like that haven't listened to the podcast, so shame on you if you're just listening now. Like, what is your podcast about? I'm like, I don't know if it's about anything. It's just free form, like catching up with old friends right now and seeing where the wind takes us,
Mm-hmm.
Wish we could enter some music there. Maybe I'll enter a little bit of a wisping wind sound.
Yeah.
It was really, really good, man. And there was so much he wanted to talk about that I know we could have talked for probably another hour or two, but I don't know if you guys caught me on the podcast checking my watch. I had a clock across here from me that I usually keep time with, and it's still set to the hour ahead, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 10:30. I haven't fed my dogs yet, and it was like 9:30. Yeah, but they were really excited to see me, to say the least.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the other thing, right? So my AC's out, and I had to leave the windows open upstairs because I don't trust my neighbors, evidently, because there's a party going on or some stranger crackhead walking around. If even anyone smokes crack anymore.
Flocka.
So I leave the windows open upstairs because I wanted the dogs not to sweat too bad. It wasn't bad. It's kind of cool down here. But when I came home, somebody had diarrhea, and it wasn't me.
What?
So I came home to a hot diarrhea house.
Oh no.
After that long podcast, and I'm like, I think when I got home and I had to start cleaning up poop and like airing out the place, I was just like, I couldn't sleep after that. I was just like,
The adrenaline.
Yeah, exactly. Picking up poop really wakes you up.
Yeah.
It does. It's a whole sensory experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
What kind of dogs do you have? What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a little Shih Tzu. That's Mia. And then the other dog, we don't know what he really is. He's a little black guy. I call him Miles after Miles Davis. And Mia was. We got Miles because our Pin Chihuahua has panic attacks that turn into seizure-looking panic attacks. So when my dog Jack died, we ended up getting. It was weeks later. We thought we could get away without having another dog for a while. We were taking him to the dog park. Nothing was working. So I finally folded and we went to the dog shelter and picked up Miles, and he's a sweetie. When you adopt from a shelter, they're always so grateful, especially this little guy. Someone had wrapped rubber bands around his paws to the point where they almost had to amputate one of his paws. It was so bad. Yeah. And the funny part was he's like this little black dog, and he must have been maybe 9-10 months at the time. And he had this big cone on his head, so we didn't know what he really looked like. And I was like, you know, when you get your windows tinted and they say, you know, you have to wait 3 days before you can roll your windows down. So they told us at the shelter that we had to wait 7 days to remove this cone. And every day I'm turning to Katie and I'm like, Katie, I want to take it off. She's like, you can't take it off. He just got like his stuff taken away from him, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm taking it off. And I got her down to, I think, day 6, and I was allowed to take it off. And like, it was like having a new dog all over again.
Yeah.
And then Katie was like, let's shelter a dog. And literally since I lost a dog in a fire. It was a Shih Tzu when I was 5 years old. And I've always wanted another Shih Tzu. So we don't know what you're getting when you're fostering a dog. And this little Shih Tzu showed up. And I think within 10 hours, I had fallen in love with her. So, yeah, that's why I have
Yeah.
Mia now. So,
Yeah, dogs are the
yeah.
best, man. Dogs are
Yeah.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know who had the diarrhea.
And
Yeah,
it stopped, so they're not doing it anymore? It's not happening anymore?
No. I mean, it was just like a one-day thing. I think it was
Okay.
a time change. You know, really stressed their little bellies out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. Our little guy, it depends on, you know, if he gets nervous. Because we had four guys. Well, we had 4 total, and then, you know, over the years we've lost 3 of them, you know,
Mhm.
due to old age and heart conditions and stuff. And
Yeah.
so now he's left alone. So
Oh,
he does not like to be alone. He goes with us everywhere now. He's our
yeah.
co-pilot. He's
How
our
old's he?
little guy. He's 11.
Yeah.
He's 11.
He's right here with us too.
Yeah, he's right here. He comes in with every
Bring
podcast.
him onto the
Yeah.
podcast. Pick him up.
Ziggy. Hi. This is Ziggy.
He's an old baby.
He's an old
Aw.
baby. Say hi, Ziggy.
Hi, bud.
Hi. Hi, little
Aw.
guy. He is such a huge personality for such a little guy. Yeah, right?
Love
Okay. Say bye. Bye, podcast people.
him. Podcast dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had quite the journey with our pets, and and yeah, it's been pretty crazy, but we love our dogs.
Yeah, we so Katie has a dog, Preston. And then about, I think 3 or 4 months ago, one of my clients had passed away, and her daughter, which is also a client of mine and a good friend of mine, the female dog up for her, like, does anyone can help us out to take this dog? So, you know, if Katie ever listened to this podcast, she would hear that I'm admitting that I'm kind of the reason why the dog is in her possession. It just made a lot of sense because we no longer lived in the same home, and she was worried about Preston having a companion there. We still go to the dog park like every day together and stuff. So so it's pretty crazy, like loading up 4 dogs. So I know what you guys we used to go through, like
Yeah.
4 different little personalities. Her
Yep.
dog Preston is going to be 11 on the 11th of this month. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
that
what they
they
get old.
4 little bodies in your bed, and because
Yeah.
we cannot not let them sleep in the bed. We tried
Yeah.
when we got our first dog at our first apartment. We tried. We left him in the cage for one night. You know, we were okay. This is your home. This is your bed. And he started crying. And from that point on, that night, he was like, "Okay, come to bed." And then
Yeah.
they've been in our bed ever since.
Yeah, Miles, when we got Miles, I don't think they found him in the streets, you know, like in that condition. And so at that point, Preston had always slept in our bed. You know, it's the same thing when I had Jack and Summer. They always slept in the bed. And I don't think he'd ever slept in the bed before. So that night I had to like bring him into the bed because I'm like, I can't have this dog wandering around getting into stuff. I don't know what he's up to, you know, or could get into, I should say. So that night I just laid there and I like scratched his chest until he fell asleep, and that was it. And now this dog is so spoiled. Like I'll be on the couch at 11, and he'll be like crying, like, "Can we go upstairs?" And then when I lay down, he's like, he like presses up against me so that way I can scratch his little neck. And I'm like, "Dude, please." I'm like, I haven't even gotten comfortable yet. He just cries all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs
they know when it's bedtime.
yeah, they
Yeah,
know
We're
it's
going to
exactly.
bed now?
yeah.
Time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dogs
that's
are the
last
best.
night he was like 2 a.m, dude. Let's go upstairs, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, where you been all night?
Yeah, geez, dude.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
You hanging out with other dogs? I sent you guys something this week about the pyramids, where that all talk about I don't know. I don't really trust it because how can you really do that? Like they're shooting some sort of, what is it, infrared or something into the pyramids,
Hmm.
and they're
Hmm.
saying that there's huge pillars underneath it.
Yeah, well, I guess they're using some type of like a kind of like echo type of, echolocation or something where they're bouncing stuff off. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, why not? Who knows? I mean, has it been debunked? I don't know if it's been debunked or
Well, did you ever watch the interview with the three scientists that supposedly did this?
no, no, I didn't see it.
Well, none of them, like one guy knew what he was talking about. The other two were like just talking crazy talk. Um, but they didn't really say they had any true proof of it.
Hmm.
Kind of like that India moon landing,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
did they just generate this from like, let's just try to scare the world,
Hmm.
like, or like, let's come up with our own movie or something like that. Like, the hoax,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems really weird. And a lot of people ran with it and then it stopped. And I guess now they're trying to get permits to go and actually see if there's something down there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I know there's been a lot of like people with alternate theories of Egypt and saying that it's a way far older than what technically they say it is.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of like water erosion around the Sphinx and stuff that
Yeah.
if that's the case, then the Sphinx was super old. And but there's a lot of politics involved in that
Yeah.
stuff, and like mainstream archaeology and stuff. There's like people that run that site in Egypt. There's you have to get permits to excavate and all that stuff, and sometimes they just don't want you to because maybe they know something that's down there and they don't want people to know. You know,
Yeah. I also think that the guy that is the overseer of all those projects, I forget his name, like
high
he will
was or
not,
something like
yeah,
high
he will not
something.
step down. I guess in Egypt you have to retire at 65 and they made an
Mm,
exemption for him.
mm,
And it's like, it's kind of like that whole theory that doctors that have gone to school still practice old medicine and won't listen to the new medicine or the new way to heal people. You know what I
mm.
mean? You ever heard that?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the whole
right. So,
paradigm that
right.
yeah.
They spent all their life saying this is how you heal people, this is how you take care of people, and then new science comes in and says, "No, organic is better, or this is better, holistic is better." And they're like, "No, absolutely not." Like, "Arr," they get all angry. That's how
Yeah.
he acts when you challenge him on anything.
Yeah.
You know what
Totally.
I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, he still says that, people actually carried those giant blocks up and built the pyramids in,
Yeah.
20 years or whatever. And come on, that's
Yeah.
that's just it's so nonsensical to think that, but that's the mainstream narrative and that's what they're gonna stick to because anything else would challenge, wait, maybe we have been here longer and maybe these things are,
Yeah.
they mean more than just, a lot of people think they're tombs, but I don't think they are tombs. They're
I
not
don't think they're
tombs.
tombs. No.
No, yeah, I don't think they've ever found an actual coffin in any of these or anything like that.
Well, they've
So,
always said that they were robbed beforehand.
yeah, but there's the Valley of the Kings, which I think is a place where
Mhm.
they have the tombs for
Right.
for the pharaohs and stuff like that. But the pyramids, I think, were constructed. They had a different purpose. Like, in my,
I think
in
so
my
too,
opinion. Yeah.
without a doubt. And then, Edgar Casey said years ago that there is a chamber in front of the Sphinx itself that is
Mhm.
underneath, that leads to underneath the pyramid. And people have found little cracks, but haven't been able to go in underneath the Sphinx. But they've seen a hollow space in there, and they'll come up and patch it all up and pretend like it's not there. And then you have these guys that are saying there's these huge chambers underneath. It's just, it's very intriguing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, especially like I think one of my places I want to go to really bad is I think Machu Picchu down in South America
Hmm.
because I mean these giant stones, these megalithic structures are massive and like they're cut so perfectly. It's
Hmm.
like it's such a magical thing, It's like what happened? Is this just cyclical? Where did we have like this crazy tech back then, or like what's the real truth of humanity? Like
I think it's possible that there was real tech like that back then. I think
yeah,
after the great floods and stuff like that, we probably had multiple in our whole existence as Earth. It's easy to wipe that stuff away, let it erode away, it gets buried underneath. Like how many artifacts do they find now? Like they found a hammer that's supposedly a million years old, and it's
mm,
made of iron and something else when iron supposedly was never found prior to that. I think that it's possible. The other thing, I watched a video about the pyramids, and the person's literally like there touching the rocks, the stones of the pyramid, and then turns to the ground right next to it, and it's the same stones that are the ground as there are on the pyramid itself. And what fascinated me is they pointed out that there's actual seashells and fossils and stuff like that that are in the stone that's just the ground, and you can see cut marks in that ground there too. That it's the same stone that is the floor is the stone, and it could have possibly been, million years ago, whatever. That stone, I've always thought that stone, the way they're so tight together, they were formed from or casted from some sort of mixture, kind of like you do with cement. Like,
Mhm.
ever see those videos where they take plastic bags and they put cement in it and then they make pavers out of them and stuff like that?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I've always thought that that's how the pyramids were actually made, with like forming with basically forms and maybe some thin sort of material that would eventually just deteriorate away, but leave
Mhm.
such a thin gap. Because if you think of the plastic bags, you could do that. I'm not saying they had plastic bags back then, but
Mhm.
the technology is very low to make those pavers down here, and it'd be a lot easier to just move material up and down like we do nowadays with cement and stuff like that to be that
Yeah.
high.
Yeah. I mean, what we don't see these days is the size of these stones. Like
Hmm.
some of these stones are like thousands of tons, and
Yeah,
we don't have machines today that could move that. So
yeah,
it's like, what the heck are these guys doing? Especially hauling them from like miles away from a quarry or something.
yeah,
It's
supposedly.
like, what the heck?
Yeah,
It's crazy. And
it is pretty.
there's so many structures like this all around the planet. Did you watch the little documentary, or the documentary I sent you about the pyramids? I think it was called it gets interesting at the end. At the end of the documentary, it starts talking about how the layout of the pyramids with the Sphinx are actually the mathematics of them and where they're pointing.
Hmm.
Basically, these structures are working as like a type of clock, and they're set up to wait for a certain point in, like, astronomically. They're waiting for
Hmm.
something to happen. Something that happens
Really,
cyclical, and all these ancient cultures built these megalithic structures around the planet. It's like they all work like a giant clock. They were all waiting for something. They're all pointing towards a certain
really.
part. Yes.
I
And
have to be
so,
honest. I kind of left that video after like 5-10 minutes into it. I apologize.
yeah, you should watch it till the end, because
Okay.
it gets crazy. Um that they were set up, and they're waiting for the certain point of time, this period of time where they're looking for something. They're waiting for something to happen. Look at the Vatican. They own a bunch of telescopes around the planet.
Yeah.
What are they watching for?
Yeah.
Like they have a few observatories, and they're all looking towards the sky. Like, do they know something? That's
Yeah.
coming. You know.
Speaking of the Vatican, I learned today. Do you know about Galileo and his last years of life?
I don't. I don't. It's not.
Okay.
No.
So Galileo, Catholic police, basically, and I forget what they're called, um, came and arrested him and they put him on trial, and all he had to do was denounce the fact that he said, "We are not the center of the universe. We are floating in the universe." And the Catholics did not like that. So they put him on house arrest, and he literally died on house arrest. Not only did he die on house arrest, but they took all of his instruments away, all of his telescopes, everything that they could from him, and then he made him go stay in a villa. I forget where it was, Venice, I think, somewhere, and he could not leave the house. Here's what's crazy: 2 years before they arrested him, he had already lost his sight, so
Mm.
he couldn't use any of these instruments anyway. They just did it just to like discredit him more.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't say, like, no, this, like, I agree with you, we are the center of the world or the universe. And I thought it was fascinating that, first off, house arrest. This is like 1633. Like, how? Like, how do you put someone in house arrest back then? But they literally had guards that would watch him in his house to make sure he couldn't leave. He wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. He could only stay in his villa. He did find ways for his constituents to come in and like talk to him late at night and stuff like that. They did let him write, but the problem was he had to dictate everything because he, couldn't see what he was doing. And the thing that I thought was fascinating, we've already had this theory that we're not the center of the universe. This has already been, this is going on for hundreds of years now. We've already decided this. I think it was 1992, the Pope came out and said we were wrong for doing that, but still didn't say that he was right. What is up with that?
Yeah.
How crazy
Yeah.
is that story? First off, I think Galileo, he gets all his credit. That's what we know him as. I never knew that they arrested him for not conforming to what the Christians wanted him to say.
Yeah. So it says that he believed in heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth orbits the sun, and the Catholic Church taught geocentrism, the belief that the Earth was the center of the universe. So, and it says there's a story that after recanting, he muttered under his breath in Italian, and I'll probably butcher this, but "E pur si muove," Italian for "and yet it moves," referring to the Earth.
Yeah. Vatican, they're a pretty strict group of dudes.
Yeah.
Like they're they don't want.
But you're
something
saying they
said.
have their own telescopes now. It's just it's mind blowing to me that
It's their own country. They have their own country, smallest country in the world. They have their own army. They have their own police. They're a powerful bunch, and they got some secrets in that Vatican archive, which is so interesting to see.
Yeah, right. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's why people become high priests, just so that way they can walk around those and look at stuff and learn stuff.
Yeah.
This guy, this Pope that we have now, I don't like him. I mean, not that I want to harm on him or anything like that, but there's something off about him. Like, he's really into aliens and stuff like that. And just done a lot of weird things already. And it's just like, bro, you've only been in the house for like a year now.
Yeah.
If that.
The whole concept of the Pope, I think, is just an odd thing.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Like, it's like, dude, I don't know. I don't buy it. It's kind of weird. This guy's closest to God, so whatever. He
got voted in closest to God, though, which I always find that interesting.
Yeah, that whole thing's just weird. I don't know. I'm more of a, I think you have a personal relationship with the creator God, and I don't think it has to be
I don't think one person's closer
than
to the creator than the other.
No. Yeah, it's weird that it's this hierarchical thing,
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of silly.
I have a theory about that too. Did we go over this? I don't think we have gone over this. Someone was talking to me about the Bible, and they say, where did God go? God stopped talking to people, and I'm like, no, I don't think he stopped talking to people, because there's like 400 years, like there's no word of God. No one's heard from him. There's just nothing. And I think nowadays it's so hard to hear the voice of your creator, because there's so much noise around us 24/7. We have our phones, we have TV, we have everything. I mean, cars, everything. And if you think back in the days of the Old Testament, there was nothing. You worked your farm, you worked your field, you made your food, you did whatever, but there was a lot of time to sit and pray or just sit in silence, and I think some people that have, like, you think about these other cultures that are like meditation, they meditate to take them to another place, or, to become enlightened, which I always love that term, enlightened. I think if you just sit still enough, because I've done it, I've heard God's voice. If you sit still enough and just really be mindful of the things that are going around in your life, I think that there's something that's constantly guiding us. The science can say stop. We still make the decision to go forward or not, And there's so many times that even in my prayers, I am like, I ask for just guidance, like, like give me the ability to see where you're trying to guide me, because we've all made major mistakes in our lives and stuff like that. So that's my theory. I think it's hard to get quiet enough without all the noise to hear the Creator, to
Yeah,
know
and you
what
gotta
he does
yeah.
for us,
And you get it also helps to be open to that idea,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, if you open yourself up to it, you'll see it in a lot of things. You'll see it in nature, you'll see it in design, you'll see it there's so much design in nature that's just not like, like you're not gonna spontaneously get a red Toyota truck, after a billion years. It's just not gonna happen,
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. But there's design all around us, and if you're open to seeing it, you
Hmm.
will see it. And it's not that God stopped talking, it's that we stopped listening.
Yeah.
We
Or
stopped.
we can't hear him. We're too busy listening to everything else.
Yeah, but then
The
again, it's a
noise.
choice.
Yeah.
It's like you have a choice. You stop and you listen and just look out your window, and you might catch something that's awesome. Something that's beautiful, and then there you can see, wow, that's God.
Yeah.
Like I remember the other day, me and Jelly went for a walk, and we saw these birds. It was in front of these people's house, and these birds were just like playing, just like they were literally flying in circles, like 5 of them,
Hmm.
and it was just so awesome to see.
Hmm.
And then I remember turning to her, and it's like, you tell me that God doesn't exist. It was such a beautiful little
Yeah.
moment there. And if you're open to it, you'll see it. You know, and that's all it is. You just have to be open to it. It's always there. It's your choice whether you want to see it or not. You know?
Yeah.
And the
I,
world we live in, we live in a very difficult place where he's giving you the choice, you know? There's a way. And it's up to you if you can take it, if you want it, it's there, you know?
yeah.
And people, it's up to you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how we got on that tangent, but oh, from Galileo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that we can pick a pope, or they can pick a pope. And that's the thing, is that they're picking a pope,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah, you have all these little again, there's politics, and I'm
yeah,
sure
politics.
there's
The
tons of
OG
business
politics is,
deals, and there's a lot of
oh yeah.
money. I mean,
Money and politics.
yeah. I'd rather get preached at by a dude on the corner than some dude sitting on a gold throne, wearing a gold ring, and, has every whim catered to him. To me, that's not. It's like what the Indiana Jones, where they were looking for the cup, the
Hmm.
chalice, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like the gold encrusted diamond one. It was like the really shitty one. He was a
Yeah.
carpenter. It was the crappy one. That's where I'd
Yeah.
rather get my messages from that than
Hmm.
this
Yeah. I think that's
crazy thing.
what's crazy. We just, the original pastor of the church that I go to came back. I think it was last weekend, not this past Sunday, but the previous Sunday. And what I've heard from the community that used to go to that church was he was very involved with, donate, 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 tithe. And that's why no one wanted to come to his church anymore. No one came to his service anymore. And like the old school Fort Lauderdale people, like, yeah, I don't go to that church because of this guy. And so he's no longer there. Right. But last weekend, he came back, and it was like he was on a book tour. And part of his sermon, or his service, he was talking about how church was when we were a kid. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got to live in fear of God. You're a sinner. We're all sinners, and you're never going to get close to God, and this and that. And buy my book, and in
Mm,
my book. And I was just like, man, if I invited somebody to church on this day, I would look like a fool, because of this man, not because
yeah,
of God, not because of the church, but because of
yeah.
this guy here. And it just, like, that irks me. Like, literally everything that they talk about in our church is like, we talk a lot about scripture and stuff like that, but it's all about how Jesus surrounded himself with the underdogs, and um the tax man, and I hate to use the word, but the whores. um that's how our church is. And I think that makes you feel a lot more comfortable to step inside of a church. We don't
Mhm.
feel like you're going to burn as soon as you walk in there, because you're just
Yeah,
surrounded by other people that
yeah.
have, similar backgrounds, or they've screwed up in life, man. We're human. Like
Yeah.
that's how he made
I,
us, you know?
and I think that that journey to find that, I know it's definitely been my journey where life is hard, and I think to 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 really find something, you kind of have to go through a lot of crap, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to ask the questions. It's not going to be given to you, and there's been points in my life where it's like I have nowhere else to go. I have
Hmm.
nowhere else to ask for. You're just throwing your hands up in the air, be like, what
Yeah.
the heck? Like, what the hell is going on? What's
Amen.
happening
Yeah.
here? And and that was my journey towards really believing in something is and I think that's the purest way to get to it, is you got
Yeah.
to be down on your luck. You got to be, going through some
Oh
shit,
yeah.
and then you'll I mean that's what it is. All these people, all these, quote unquote low lives that he hung out with, well, they needed him. You know what I mean? Like they
Hmm.
found him and he knew that, they and I think that's how you get to it. It's not I grew up Catholic and my parents didn't really push it on me, but I got away from it for a long time and life as a way of kind of like bringing you, to that place where you're just kind of like asking, well, what is going on?
Yeah.
Why is this so hard? Why am I suffering so much? Like, what is it? What's going on? Is there something else that's going on? Is there something, And when you start asking those questions, the only answer you can really get anything from is from God or or something. There's something cosmically going on,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't, we're older guys, so I don't know how old our audience is, but first off, I wish I would have come to my faith sooner, but I know everything happens in its right time and its right plan because that's how it was designed for me. Um, but I look back on the hard times and the lessons that were learned from the hard times was part of life. And I remember in those hard times, me going like, how is this? Why is this like this? Like, if there is a God, like questioning it, like if there's a God, why am I going through this? Like, why did you take my dad? And my brother and I were talking. I don't know if I told you guys about this, but my brother and I were talking one day, and we're talking about his kids and his life, and you know how do we wind up here in our lives? And we came with the conclusion that if our dad hadn't died, we wouldn't have gotten closer. If we didn't get closer, and I taught him how to tattoo, he might not be where he's at right now. So in the time that our father died, it was the most dramatic, tragic thing that we'd ever gone through. Our hero is gone. But 20 years later, 17 years later, we look back on it and our father died and it saved us
Mm-hmm.
because I was going nowhere. He was going nowhere. And, my past, like it was really going nowhere. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I
it's,
remember a video I saw years ago, and uh it was a group of people, and they were talking to this Krishna dude,
mhm.
this Krishna guru, Ram Dass, right? And one of the questions was, why is there suffering in the world? And his answer was perfect, and I stayed with me for since I heard it, because suffering brings you closer to God.
Yeah,
Like that was it right there. That's the question. That's the answer.
yeah,
It
that's the
does.
answer.
And also we live in a world, where the world has turned its back on that, on a creator. Everything is
Yeah.
everything's explained. The wonder is gone. Everything is scientifically explained, and we have the answer to everything. you know and
But we don't.
so
We still don't
no,
have
we
the
don't.
answer to everything.
Right, and
We're not
that's
even
why
close.
that's why the world is where it is, because again, back to the God's always speaking, but we're just not listening. People
Mhm.
aren't listening anymore because everything's explained. Come on, you believe it? There's reason, there's science, there's that type of stuff, and our world is, I don't like to say it like this, but it's true. We live in a fallen world. you
Yeah.
know
Oh,
like we're
absolutely.
not, and the the idea is to not be of this world. You know, you don't
Yeah.
want to be of this world. We live in a world that has turned its back, and God's been like, okay, I'm going hands off, but I'm here if you need me. You know,
Yeah, and I mean,
and so
it's in the
go have
Bible.
fun.
Yeah, and in the
Yeah.
Bible, this has happened before.
Yeah.
And what has he done? We'll refresh. Whoever survives, survives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so world sucks because, you know, people want to do things on their own. They don't want to ask for help. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I watched. Do you know a guy named Wes Huff?
It sounds familiar. He's been on Rogan, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's a Christian apologist or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like a historian of the Bible too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's before I got baptized. I really got into to that part of the Bible, like the history of it, like and how so many things are true in the Bible that they've proven it now over and over again. And then he like really like opened my mind into like really getting into the Bible. And it's just amazing. Like I've said it a million times now. It's the cheat code to life. Really, all the lessons that are in the Bible are basically like, hey, if you touch this hot pan, you're going to burn your hand, you know, like,
Yeah.
So don't touch this pan, you know, like don't touch the pan, you know, but some people have to do it a million times before they figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I can't feel my fingertips anymore. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
there's a great documentary called what was it called? I saw it a long time ago. Anyway, there was an interview with I think it's Richard Dawkins is his name, the super skeptic. You want to double check that? I think it's Richard Dawkins, famous skeptic, right? Fully science guy, and it's just weird how people would rather believe in
Yes.
like they won't believe the resurrection. They won't believe that can't happen. You know, things can't be turned into wine. You know, like these things miracles cannot happen, you know, but yet
literally
they'd rather
every day is a
believe,
miracle.
right. But they'd rather believe that, you know, panspermia, that, you know, life was seeded on the planet by aliens billions of years ago. And we can't, you know, again, a Toyota can self-assemble, give it enough time, you know, red with a seat, with an engine. And, you know, they'd rather believe that, but they'll believe like even like crazier. They'll believe in reptilians, or they'll believe in, you know, UFOs, or they'll believe in like stuff like that. But it is not possible that the creator of the universe can resurrect. You know, like
right. Well, my favorite is who created the reptilians then.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like it goes back to something. It didn't just happen. You know,
that's
it's not happenstance. You know what I mean? It's just, and that's what the question has always been in my head. You know, like we've talked about it before. We can't even wrap our mind around what God truly is, because He is everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like He literally is the whole everything. The miracle that we are even to be alive. You know, was it like 1 in 4 trillion chances that we were to be born? You know.
Yeah, I just think it demeans you to think that, you know, you're slime. You evolved from slime out of a puddle. You know, lightning hit a puddle and bam, it causes some crazy chain reaction, and you're just slime. You mean nothing. You're an accident. Nothing you do matters. You know, and I always love to ask the question to people that are scientific, and they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in a higher power. They don't believe in a creator. They don't believe in anything beyond this physical reality, right? And I like to ask them, it's like, and they probably have children or whatever, and like, do you love? You know, what is love to you? Because in your way of thinking, love can only be a chemical reaction. Okay, that is it. Procreation, chemical reaction. Love does not the magic of love is impossible. It is just only a chemical reaction. So in reality, you don't love anything. It is just your chemicals
and their reality.
In their reality, right? Yeah. So they don't love their children. They can't love their children. It's impossible,
right? Because if you don't believe in one, how can you?
So how do you believe? How do you explain love? You know, but you'd ask them that and be like, "No, I love my kids." No, you don't. You can't. It's impossible. Love. There's no in nature. The only purpose of love would be to take care of your offspring, so to procreate the species. That's it. You know, and survival of the fittest. That's it. Nothing else.
Right.
You
But
know,
yeah,
so
God and
throw
Jesus.
away all these ideas of communal living and you know, everybody lives together in harmony and all that stuff. Throw that away because that's not how nature works. You know,
And I mean, it's in the Bible. The Old Testament was very violent, how God took care of things, but even Jesus said, you know, we're here to love each other. So
Yeah.
if that isn't the sole purpose, like literally, I mean, I've had friends that were atheists, and then they had a kid, and it totally changed everything in their chemistry of their brain. You know, like the ability to have a child, or even for us to be born, is such a miracle that it had to be done by design. So you're telling me some lizard and some flying saucer was like, hey, and then we'll make this part and this part fit together, you know? Like, come on.
But they'll explain it in a way. They're like, well, they were super advanced. They knew that stuff. You know,
They
It's
already
like,
knew this. They've already gone through it.
Yeah.
And that's why they come back, because they just don't have those feelings because they're reptilian.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched some lizards have sex.
That's the clip right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right there.
Watch some
You gotta
lizards
start
have
with that.
sex, and I tell you this: the frogs are gay. They're gay, all right. No, I don't see any lizards having sex with each other like that. But I mean, they protect their offspring too. You know, it's ducks, same thing. I mean, there's just so much. There's very little mammals that will just, you know, even reptiles that will just like dip out on their offspring. Even alligators, protect their offspring.
I mean, we all have that portion in our brain that I mean, we are animals. Our body is an animal.
Yeah.
You know, like we have the same brains, we have all that stuff. But I think we're one of the few, if not the only creature on the planet that battles its nature. You know, it's just think you're putting this ineffable, crazy life force into this like meat body with animal instincts and fear and you know. So
Hunger.
those two things are battling each other, you know, constantly. And there's a great movie that Jolie and I watched. What was it? The Tree of Life?
Yeah.
The Tree of Life with Brad Pitt. Great movie. You should watch it. It's directed by Terrence
Tree
Malick.
of Life with Brad Pitt. I haven't seen that movie.
It's because when we were in the theater, people were walking out because it's a very weird. Terrence Malick likes long shots of silence and, you know, no talking and all that. I loved it. I thought it was great. But there's a quote in that movie that's great. It's about a little boy and he's watching his two parents. His mother believes in God, his father doesn't. And so there are two ways through life: the way of nature, the way of grace. And I think we all have that in us. We have the way of nature and we have the way of grace, but which one do we choose to live to be? How do we choose to live our lives? Do we choose it, you know, I'm going to take from you so that I have, or I want to wear this stuff and I want to have all these material things? Or do you go the way of grace? And so humanity is constantly battling that, but you have one side telling you, no, you're nature. You're not grace. There's no such thing as grace.
Right.
So, and look at the world. The world is basically nature. That's it. We live in a safari. We're living in the jungle, you know, and those who survive, and those who can't, won't, you know, and that's why
Amen, brother. We're just out here in the cement jungle, you know?
Yeah. So it's crazy, you know, and
it is crazy.
I
think that's the interesting part. I mean, like I said, we had that podcast with Edwin, and I don't know if you caught me like trying to catch him. I always try to catch him. The previous podcast, I had him that we didn't get to record properly. At the end, he said something about God, and I was like, "What'd you just say?" And he's like, you know what I mean?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like, even this one we just did, I tried to catch him, you know, just because I think a lot of people are afraid of there being a creator, you know,
I think a lot of people
true
don't
fear of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have to own up to who I am.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of not being in control of their lives.
Center of the universe.
Right. You know, and nobody wants to be told that there's something greater, you know, or not that there's something greater, because you obviously are a great and you're a cherished part of him, you know. That's why, you know, there's this battle of good and evil to get us, you know, away from him.
Yeah.
Or it, whatever. I don't want to like say it's a man or woman, but
It's definitely a man,
it's
bro. Come on.
freaking God. It's whatever it wants to
Come
be.
on. The alpha, omega. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's really weird.
And every time anyone's heard its voice, it's a man. I'm just saying.
But what I do like about Edwin is, and you know, him being an atheist, is I love how he's respectful of
Yeah.
other people's beliefs. You
Yeah.
know, and he's like, if that's good for you, awesome, go for it. You know, it's not good for me, but he's not gonna. There's so many people that will just talk crap about people, where to the point where their version of atheism, their belief is dogmatic. Their belief is a religion. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the new thing, right? So
Yeah,
I watched a bunch of verses like Christians versus atheists, and and it's just funny because they've given themselves their own rules.
Yeah.
And they've created their own religion from a non-religion. You know what I mean? It once again, I don't know if we're designed or how he created us, but we are always drawn into that, to some form of unity of rules and regulations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know if
the world is chaotic, and obviously people are gonna work towards some type of structure. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
need it. So their atheist views works for them. You know, it checks all the things. They don't want to be told what to do. They know what's right. There's no objective truth. They know what's truth for them is truth. You know, nobody's gonna tell them that there's a different truth.
Yeah.
You know, because they want to believe that their truth is correct.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, and I think I don't think I was ever atheist. I was always in fear of becoming an atheist, I think.
Yeah.
But I was a Gnostic for a long time. You know what I mean? And I always thought that there was, I just didn't know what religion was the right religion, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's just I remember being in fear. Like what if I pick the wrong religion and I get there and God's like, gotta go back. You gotta go back.
yeah,
You know what I
but
mean?
yeah,
Like you picked the wrong one, buddy. But
yeah.
we've had other conversations where I do believe it's all one God, all one Creator. It
Oh,
doesn't
totally.
matter
I
what
mean,
religion.
and the thing
He
is, like,
made those
God,
religions too. He made us
right?
he designed us to have different languages just so
Yeah. And the thing is, like, he knows your intention. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
your intention. If you're just a good dude, and you're trying to fumble your way in this world of darkness, it's like he'll get you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I know your intention. I know you're trying to be good. That's fine. I don't think picking like you said, I think they're all derived from the same version of God. He just appears to people a little differently in different eras and different times. I mean, I remember we were driving down Davie, this is years ago, and like God's a Republican, or like it was like this big giant billboard. I'm like, dude, come on, God's a Republican. He's not a Democrat. It's like, do you really think he cares? It's just so weird how people think. How people will take the idea of religion and just bastardize. They'll just chop it up, to suit their own thing, and it's so.
And then
sad.
it turns people off from like wanting to get close to a church or even explore. Like usually when people are like, I don't believe in any of it. I mean, it's the greatest historical book ever written. It's lasted the test of time, and I mean, even when they find a little piece of something in a cave somewhere, it's all the same. We could go on and on about this, but most of all, I think we should end it right about now.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening to this podcast, please check out our next podcast. It will be with Edwin, wonderful guy, great tattooer, awesome dad, and we both grew up with him and know him really well. There's a lot of fun talk in there, and a little spoiler. There's a little bit of politics that are talked in this next podcast. So if you listen to the first half, it's going to be kind of political, and then the second half will be a little bit more conspiracy theory-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to say there, Jeronimo?
Nope. I just go after everything you say.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Jeronimo is officially my hype man now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want to thank you again for listening to Anchors and Eagles. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please share to your friends and on any social media. We really appreciate it. And please follow us at Anchors and Eagles on Instagram. We love you guys. Be safe. Until next time, we're Anchors and Eagles.
Yeah.